All right, guys. So here's why 95% of people fail to learn languages. And it really has to come down to two things, right? One is their method. Their method sucks. Their method does not adhere to the way we as humans acquire languages. But the second reason is probably the most important reason, actually, is that most people just aren't consistent. Like you can actually not put in that much effort into something every single day. But if you're consistent and you do it every single day, you will make significant progress. And consistency is one of the main things to life. Okay, it's not just about language learning, guys. It's also like even with your physique, like you gotta consistently have your diet on point. You gotta consistently go to the gym, right? Yep, and it's same with business. Like you gotta consistently do things every day to go towards your goals. Consistency is literally everything's when it comes to achieving your goals, and that could be learning languages. So most people fail just because they're not consistent. You guys have to be consistent every single day. You have to show up. You just gotta show up. Like you don't necessarily even have to use the most effective method, right? But as long as you're showing up for learning, then at least you're like telling your brain that like this is still important and that you're still actually trying to learn a language, right? Versus like using a very effective method, but you're so inconsistent. Because immersion, right? Like my way of learning languages is basically through a lot of input, immersion, right? You do a lot of comprehensible input, like you do a lot of watching, a bunch of TV shows, like listening. You do a lot of reading, you know this is how I would acquire languages. But all the immersion is not going to come to fruition unless you are consistent. You have to be consistent every day in order for you to see the effects of the immersion. Because in the beginning, when you're immersing every day, you're going to be like, I'm making no progress. Because every day I still understand literally nothing. But what you don't realize is that no, your brain is still figuring stuff out, but you just don't know it. You don't know it yet. Your subconscious brain is figuring stuff out about the language. You just have to be patient and stay consistent and consistently immerse every day. You got to consistently put in the hours every single day towards learning a language. If I look at the reason why I was able to learn Japanese at such a rapid rate was just because I was consistent. I spent consistently 6 hours every day learning Japanese. I was relentless. Like, of course I was fluent. Of course I became so good, you know? I was just consistent. So that's the key, guys. And when it comes to fixing, this problem, like how do I become more consistent? Your why has to be strong. What is your why for learning a language? Because you have to make sure that it's a priority over everything else. Because you have certain priorities in life, like you maybe family, you got to go to this job, right? What is your priority right now, though? Like, do you prioritize learning a language? This is something you have to prioritize, because the moment you prioritize learning a language as something that you're willing to do, then you will be consistent every single day to do it. Okay? But in the same with fitness, if you want to have your fitness goals achieved, you have to make that a priority. You can't just say, "Oh, I get around to it." No, you have to like schedule it in your calendar. Be like, "Look, I'm gonna do this every day." You know? So that's the thing, guys. You have to make it a priority. I mean, do you like feed your kids you know, like sometimes? Like, do you kind of feed your kids? Like, no, you feed your kids every day. It's like, that's a priority. That's a requirement. You feed your kids every day, because if you don't feed your kids, like, what? So you're going to make your kids go on like a couple of multi-day fast, not eating for a couple of days? Like, what if your kids didn't eat for a couple of days because you forgot to feed them? It's like, you're not like that, right? Of course, you feed your kids every day. It's like, it's the same thing when it comes to learn languages. You have to feed your brain the language every day. Like you can't really miss a day, like, because like the problem is when you miss one day, it's not a big deal. In the moment, missing one day is not a big deal. But then you start to miss the next day, and then the next day, and it just compounds over time, and eventually you just don't even do it anymore, right? So you have to be consistent every day. You have to feed your brain every day, just like how you feed your kids every day. Okay, it's the same thing. Okay, you have to feed your brain this language every day for it to like understand it, for it to get good at it. So that's the thing. Consistency is very important for language learning and in any endeavor of life. You're not really going to get anything meaningful in life unless you're consistent. Things that take time. Because great things take time, guys. And that's acquiring the languages. Acquiring languages is very hard. Human feat, right? It's very time consuming, and I think it's one of the most difficult endeavors to actually do in life, you know? Like even with fitness, I would think that fitness and getting a better physique is like so easy compared to learning languages. Because it's like when it comes to learning languages, like you just have to put in the hours every day. Whereas like with a physique, like you just got to go to the gym like, you know, maybe 2 times per week, 1 time per week, train hard, and then get your nutrition dialed in. And it's like there's no really time commitment when it comes to that because you're eating anyway. Like you just have to replace the foods that you're already eating with good foods that are going to fuel your workouts, right? So you're not really taking time out of the day for fitness. You know what I mean? Like maybe a little bit when you work out, but it's like that's only a couple times per week. It's not every day. Where it's like with language learning, it's like no, you have to spend and get at it every day. You know, I think part of the reason why I was consistent was because I was in high school when I was learning Japanese and French, right? So that's the privilege I had. I didn't have like any other responsibilities in life. You know, I just had to do like my homeschool work, right? And that was it. And then gymnastics. So I had to do gymnastics, homeschool, and the rest of the time was just I was able to dedicate to learn languages, right? So that's how I was able to get really good at languages was because of that reason. So, but you know, you guys have to make it a priority. But I made it a priority. You know, like even though I had gymnastics and stuff, which took up like 6 hours of my day, I still chunked in time for language learning. You know, I still chunked it in there because I made it a priority. So guys, you just have to make sure that this is a priority for you guys. And you guys really want to learn a language. And your why has to be strong. You know, why do you want to learn this language? Is it just to like for fun, or do you want to like develop yourself, you know, completely? Like, do you want like if you want to watch anime with the subtitles, it's like how meaningful is this to you? You know what I mean? And it's good to do hard things in life, but learning a language is one of those hard things that you don't want to mess with. Okay, like this is the few things in life that you don't want to mess with. You know, because learning a language is like hardcore. Like very few people will actually learn a language to a fluent level just because it requires that much dedication. Way more dedication to fitness. Like you look at people on social media, like looking at their impressive physiques. It's like actually, if you look at fitness and you look at all those people on social media that have really impressive physiques, like that's not actually hard to get. Like you guys may think that's hard, but it's like no, because these people they have the right knowledge, right, and they're consistent. Most people, when it comes to the fitness goals, they lack the wrong knowledge. Like they lack the right knowledge. So that's why they're not able to achieve the body that they want. It's mainly just because they lack knowledge. Not necessarily because they're not consistent. Because most guys go to the gym. Like there are plenty of people that go to the gym and don't look that good. Because they're not consistent on the diet, right? Or they don't have the right knowledge when it comes to the training. So they don't make progress. Whereas with language learning, it's like, even if you have the right knowledge, you still gotta have the guts every day to like put in the hours, put in the work. You know, so that's why, you know, language learning should, you know, there's gonna be very few people that actually dedicate learning a language because it's something that it's a very time commitment thing. It's a very heavy thing you have to dedicate yourself to, you know? And I know what it takes because, you know, I did it and I'm still doing it today. You know, even after all those hours I spent in my high school years, I'm still like not perfected it yet. You know what I mean? So like it's just like I can't imagine like, you know, people that are just like only spending like 2 hours a day like thinking they're making progress. Like I can't imagine like I don't know. Like I just want people to do it. Like you have to put in more hours than that. So yeah guys, make sure you guys are consistent and you guys will achieve anything you want in life.